Every day we make choices without much thought that can impact our health in ways we don't even realize. From the food we eat to the activities we engage in, these seemingly small actions can nevertheless contribute to the development of Australia's silent killer, diabetes. Dr Sue Radd is an advanced accredited practicing dietitian and a nutrition scientist at the University of Sydney.
Diabetes is the fastest growing chronic condition in Australia and the world. More than 1 in 10 people globally have this condition. In fact, health professionals are so concerned that the International Diabetes Federation deemed it a global health emergency of the 21st century. And yet, most cases of diabetes are totally preventable through healthy lifestyle choices.
Research shows that as much as 90% of diabetes cases could be avoided. Both your genes and diet play a key role in the risk of developing this chronic condition. But by adopting a high-quality, plant-based diet, you can reduce your risk even if you have a genetic predisposition. Everyone who chooses to eat healthier can start to feel better, lower their insulin resistance, and get a chance to reduce or even stop some medications. People like Sharon, who was previously diagnosed with insulin resistance and pre-diabetes, have learned this through personal experience.
Now, Sharon, you've been working on making lifestyle changes for more than 12 months. But tell us, when you first came to my clinic to see me, what were the initial areas of your health that you were trying to target? What did you want to improve?
So as I came to your clinic, I had been having some blood tests with the doctor, and there were some markers which were showing that I was insulin resistant and pre-diabetic. My blood pressure had been going up for many years. My cholesterol was now really high.
Right.
So I wanted to start making some changes.
Now, in retrospect, because you've made lots of amazing lifestyle improvements, what were some of the foods, looking back, that maybe you weren't having enough of, or food groups, or maybe having too often?
So I think there was many things. I definitely hardly ever had any legumes. Legumes in my diet was non-existent.
Right.
And there was green vegetables, but not leafy green vegetables, and not a bulk of them.
Right.
So, you know, there was little pieces of vegetables here and there. There was a lot of meat and lots of fast food when the convenience was needed. So when you look at it, it was actually had bits that were good, but still a lot that could have been improved. There was a lot of white carbohydrates in there. There was none of that fibre that the body needed for helping with diabetes.
To understand the impact of food on diabetes, we first need to explore the science behind how our bodies process food and regulate blood sugar or glucose levels. So we're meeting with Dr Andrew Pennington, a dedicated GP specialising in lifestyle medicine.
So tell me, Andrew, how commonly do you see people in your practice with any type of diabetes?
It's quite a common condition, Sue, as I know you're aware. And it's actually, I was looking up some of the stats recently. We're looking at nearly 2 million Australians living with diabetes of one form or another, of which the vast majority is type 2 diabetes, as I know you're aware. So it's a very common condition, and unfortunately increasingly so. And we're recognising that type 2 diabetes really is one of the master underpinning chronic illnesses.
Wow.
And so it's so important for us to recognise it early, hopefully before it even gets to type 2 diabetes, and to take positive interventions to try and prevent getting it in the first place, or if you do have it, to treat it as early as possible so you can hopefully put it into remission if possible.
Right. But presumably, Andrew, most people that come to see you already know they have diabetes, or perhaps are quite proactive and are wanting to be checked in case they have risk factors. But what about the people that might be walking around with high blood glucose, blissfully unaware, continuing on their life's journey? What would you say to such people?
Well, you're absolutely right. And we know that there's plenty of people who are not diagnosed with diabetes who are walking around without it, without even realising. And I think it's very important for these people to have regular health checks with their doctor. That's one of the roles that we have as general practitioners, is recognising these conditions early and trying to prevent complications, to prevent it progressing.
What really is the problem? What will I develop? What complications potentially if my blood glucose continues to run high?
Well, there's many. And in medicine, we characterise these complications in really two major ways. We call one as the macrovascular complications, the large vessel, blood vessel complications, and these most commonly manifest as things like cardiovascular disease, heart attacks, strokes, and also kidney failure, because the arteries into the kidneys can be affected. Mind you, that also borders into what we call the microvascular complications. And
so microvascular, you're talking about complications affecting those very small blood vessels compared to the macro, the larger ones that doctors actually can image.
Correct. And many of us are aware that is things like the eyes, where there's minor small blood vessels in the eyes that can affect vision, small blood vessels in the kidney, small blood vessels that accompany nerves into the feet and hands, and of course small blood vessels in the brain. So all of these are things that can go wrong in those areas, and there's various mechanisms for why that happens, but it ends up generally being that can create sluggish blood flow through those areas, inflammation leading to blockages of those arteries, and therefore the place that artery supplies essentially can die. And that, of course, causes a problem in that particular organ that it's supplying.
If you let your blood glucose get out of control, the consequences can be very serious, including foot ulcers, limb amputations, loss of vision, and even dementia. Your lifestyle choices have a profound impact on this scenario. You can reduce your risk of complications by avoiding certain foods, including other foods, and making wise decisions about when you eat.
We've known that there's been a lot of changes in food and over the last 50, 60 years in culture around the world with the way it's processed. And there's an increasing recognition that how food is processed has an impact on our health, particularly some white products, white rices, pastries,
foods.
white carbohydrates, also animal products as well. But can you just tell us a little bit about what you know about the processing and how that affects blood sugar control and our health?
For sure. Look, the first thing to say is that when we look at traditional cultures, there was an absence of these foods. A big clue. So it wasn't just that they consumed less animal products. They did not consume ultra-processed foods, but now they're prevalent, they're everywhere. Whether you go to a service station, you're prompted to buy some. Whether it's potato chips or biscuits or ice cream or cake or croissants or whatever, we're surrounded by them. The problem is, if you eat a white refined food, whether it's processed like white rice, which is strongly related to diabetes risk, or whether you get an ultra-processed food like a sugary drink, these foods are digested rapidly, which means they're more likely to spike your blood glucose very high and very fast without you feeling any different. And this is a problem because you have a lot of spikes over a long period of time, or even over a relatively short period of time, you're doing a lot of silent damage. So the degree of processing is very important for all foods, but particularly for carbohydrate foods, because it changes that food architecture, that matrix.
The good news is that making daily long-term changes is much more rewarding than being a passive recipient of a prescription fulfilled at a pharmacy. While you can't change your advancing age, genes, or ethnicity, risk factors for diabetes, you can choose the way you live.
So one of the areas of lifestyle medicine that, as you've said, I'm very passionate about is food. Food
Yes.
is medicine. And I really see this, Andrew, as a bit of a centerpiece or a cornerstone of lifestyle medicine. And the reason I see it this way is because we all have the opportunity to eat multiple times a day.
Absolutely.
Some people might eat 3 times, but some, I know people that eat 8 times a day. So each opportunity is a possibility to influence disease progression, to halt disease in its track.
Yeah.
So you can either be fast forwarding, fast tracking, or slowing down these
Absolutely.
conditions. What are your views as a doctor, a medical doctor, on the importance of diet and the quality of diet in a person's lifestyle?
Well, I really think this is absolutely vital. I mean, all lifestyle changes are good, but I think if you could grade lifestyle changes in terms of perhaps a priority system for what people could improve, diet is up the top. It
I'm
really
pleased to hear
is.
that.
No, it absolutely is. And I know you're obviously passionately supporting of this. And
Some may say I have a vested interest, but,
Well, yes,
but you're right.
But I'd love to hear some of your views more on this as well. But certainly from my perspective, who obviously looks at other medical aspects,
Yes.
not just diet, and I'll give an example, say weight loss. We know that even though exercise is fantastic for us, it's a smaller component of weight loss than diet is. And I tell my patients this, if you really want to lose weight, we're going to have to do something with your diet.
Yeah.
And not just the quantity of what you're eating, the quality of what you're eating, when you're eating it,
Exactly.
whether you're fasting or not. There's various mechanisms
Yes.
we can use to assist, and that's true in diabetes, it's true in weight loss, it's true in many things, and we're understanding more and more science in this area.
Indeed.
So I'm interested in your views on what I've just mentioned. How do you view dietary changes? And I'm very excited with your book around
thank you.
looking into how we can specifically use nutrition for diabetes. But can you give us some of your tips as to how you would use diet when it comes to preventing diabetes?
Well, I agree with you that unless a person also addresses their quality of diet, what they're eating, combinations of foods, when they're eating, how they're cooking it even, things won't change as quickly and rapidly or
Yes.
as well. So you get more bang for your buck as you embrace more of these lifestyle medicine pillars, of course. For me, also, it's a high-quality diet that will enable people to stay better. So you can follow any fad diet, there's all kinds of trends that come and go, and really there's nothing new under the sun. They're just called something else. For example, high protein, low carb. Some of these diets will give us results very rapidly, and that's presumably why people want to go on them.
Yes.
The problem with some of those diets, however, is they don't do anything to teach you how to change your diet and lifestyle for the longer term. And that is the critical thing. Even if someone puts diabetes into remission, which you can if you lose enough weight. Usually it's at least 15 kilos.
Yes.
And that deep fat that comes out of the organs so that your pancreas and your liver can work normally again as if
Exactly.
you were young. Even if you achieve that, you've got to keep that off.
You do.
For things to keep working well.
Exactly.
And the problem with these fad diets is people can't continue to stick to them. They're not a natural way of eating. They were never part of any traditional dietary pattern that lived well and lived long.
That's where a healthy plant-based lifestyle can help. From time immemorial, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts and seeds have been the main diet in many cultures around the world. The most nutritious food actually comes from plants. It costs less and promotes health benefits. A detailed scientific review found that vegetarian diets resulted in more weight loss and a reduction of body fat around the waist in people with type 2 diabetes, even without restricting calories. A vegan diet was the most effective, with unique benefits for diabetes remission. All major health authorities now recommend plant-based dietary patterns. What's important to understand from the research is this: it's the high level of adherence to a healthy plant-based diet that is most strongly linked with the lowest type 2 diabetes risk.
Now, Andrew, I know you try and give your patients the best of everything that's on offer. Where do you see the role of lifestyle? And indeed, what is lifestyle medicine? This is new language that's come in globally, and there are certain practitioners such as yourself that practice in this area. How do you see it all fitting together, lifestyle medicine as well as conventional medicine?
Well, they go very, very well together. Just to be clear, lifestyle medicine really means the application of lifestyle-based therapies to achieve a therapeutic outcome with a patient. That is to say...
For example, what kind of therapies would you consider?
So commonly things we're talking about: improving someone's nutrition, improving their physical activity and exercise, improving their sleep, improving their stress management, improving their meaning and purpose. So there's a number of things.
So these are low-tech things.
Very, very much so.
Not expensive.
Yeah, and in fact, they're very well recognised, again, within guidelines of all medical, we should implement lifestyle change first. One of the things that I think a lot of doctors struggle with, though, is it's not necessarily a lack of understanding, it's a lack of being able to apply it. And so sometimes it's difficult for patients. We're busy, people are got things going on in life, and they may not be convinced of how important lifestyle changes really are. But I will say this very clearly: I have no better medicine in my arsenal to be able to offer someone than to improve their lifestyle. Nothing better than any drug I can give them is lifestyle medicine. And that's why I'm so passionate about it, because it really actually offers an opportunity to halt a disease process in its steps, and thereby improve that patient's quality of life. And that's actually really important, because sometimes the selling point is not, well, I might prevent a heart attack in 20 years. Right. That's great. But for someone, they're probably interested in the here and now.
Want to feel better now.
Exactly. And so if I can say to them, you know what, your energy levels may improve, your concentration may improve. Who doesn't want that? Your vitality improves. It can flow on into many of those areas. And the amount of times that I've seen someone getting those benefits and then coming back excited to me saying, actually, yes, I'm sleeping better, I'm feeling better, like I'm more available, my mind's better, I'm clearer.
And they're surprised about it too.
Well, sometimes they are, absolutely. I'm not surprised because we know it works. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. That's why I'm passionate about it.
The evidence base for this, and this is not some fringy stuff, this is scientifically substantiated. There's a big evidence base now, and it just keeps growing and growing, that this stuff works, and in fact may work even better than some drugs if applied early enough.
Absolutely. And as to be clear, of course, we're not talking about anti-drugs. I'm not that at all.
No.
We do have a role for medications, and of course I prescribe them. But if at all possible, and again, this is very much in the guidelines that I follow when I'm treating someone, we do lifestyle therapies first and foremost, because they are the best that we have. We've got some good studies showing that substantive proportions of people, probably greater than 50% of people in the early stages of type 2 diabetes can have their disease biochemically remitted.
That's really good news for most people that would not be aware of this. And the other thing, I guess, is something people don't consider is if you take on board the lifestyle medicine approach, the side effects are only positive.
Absolutely.
You're also potentially targeting other risk factors, you're reducing them. So you're reducing your risk also for cardiovascular disease and so on. So it's win-win.
Absolutely. And the right type of lifestyle change, fortunately, particularly when it comes to nutrition, and I know this is an area of great interest to you because it's your field, we know that the nutritional changes that we are going to make to help prevent and remit diabetes are excellent for virtually every other chronic disease around. Reduces cancer risk, reduces cardiovascular risk, reduces dementia risk. You name it, it probably helps.
And helps you live longer.
Absolutely.
Better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have more power in your fork than you might think. Sharon's journey shows us the importance of nutrition education and being intentional about what you choose to bring to your table. By being proactive and seeking out evidence-based information, Sharon has been able to improve her health and well-being.
Sharon, you've had some phenomenal results so far. And as you say, it's still early days because we talk about lifestyle change as a process over at least 5 years until we really bed things down. But it's been more than 12 months, and already you have lost significant weight, more than 15 kilos.
It's amazing. I can't believe it.
You have dropped your cholesterol further, improved that significantly, and your blood pressure. And what's really exciting to me, because one of your key goals was to keep the diabetes at bay, is that your HbA1c, which is a measure in the blood that we take that tells us the average blood glucose behaviour over 3 months, that has come down to absolutely normal levels. So it's now like 5.4% from memory. And that means you're no longer at an elevated risk of type 2 diabetes or of stroke.
Yeah. It's amazing to think that it happened so fast. It felt easy, really.
Wow.
To do that change.
So apart from some of the medical improvements that you've shared with us, are there any other gains of adopting more of this food as medicine approach within your lifestyle? What have you experienced?
Absolutely, there's more things to gain. I'm much more energetic. I sleep better, sleep less. I definitely enjoy going shopping for my new clothes.
That's exciting.
To almost replace the whole wardrobe twice over. It's been good having, just to be able to catch a plane and sit in a plane seat and feel comfortable for, those 10, 20 hours wherever you're going from Australia. That's been amazing. And going on holidays and having all that energy to walk around and look at all those beautiful places and explore and not come back home feeling sore or tired. So they're really great benefits, a lot more exercise and not feeling like it's a drain on you. So definitely there's lots of benefits aside from the health ones that you get from this eating lifestyle change.
Sharon, what would you like to say to people who think there's nothing much they can do? They might have a glucose that's rising. The GP's told them, look, if you don't change your lifestyle, if you don't change something, you will develop diabetes, you will switch on that gene. Is there any hope for them that you would like to personally provide based on your experience?
I think that they should absolutely use food as an alternative or inclusion in their lifestyle. It's not difficult. There's a lot of smaller things they can do to start turning the dial to keep things down. They don't have to take the big decision as I did and went 100% plant-based. But, just those small things that can be included, like the cooling of the carbohydrates, the addition of the oil and vinegar to make blunt those sugar spikes. There's little things like that they can do, and everything adds up. And it does really make a difference.
After working in the field for over 35 years and helping people from all backgrounds with various types of diabetes, Dr Sue Radd shares in the cookbook Food as Medicine the tips and tricks she has learned, both as a healthcare professional and home cook.
The recipes in this cookbook, which I have spent years developing and testing, can make it easier for you to live your best life. In this kitchen resource, I share new research findings that may actually challenge your thinking about what you should eat, how best to cook your meals, and even when to have them. I tell you why healthy plant-based diets, such as the Mediterranean, Nordic and vegetarian, have advantages over other diets and should be your first point of call. Every mouthful you take can lead to better well-being. So happy cooking and eating for your best life.